Good morning, all. In previous lecture, we have seen the water development in India, in our country, the overview, the introduction of water development in our country that you have seen, and water development in Maharashtra state. How development occurs in this water sector that you have seen. Now we are going to see the national water policy of our country, national water policy, and the water policy of Maharashtra state. National water policy. When it was enacted, the government of India, Water Resources Department of India have initiated, have enacted the national water policy for effective water distribution, for maintaining the quality of the water, distribution of the water, for the water management. This national water policy, which was enacted, so water is a vital resource. This is one of the important resource that is utilized by every human being that is required uh, for its daily use, for drinking purpose, for domestic use, for cooking purpose, bathing purpose. The water is needed. So for it is very essential thing, and also for irrigation purpose, for raising of the crops in different season throughout the year. The water is required, and the water is required for navigation purpose, for generation of the electricity, or other purposes. So it has various uses. So it is a vital resource, important resource. So it is given by nature. So 70% of the earth that is covered with water. So policy is to be made for effective water management. So now we are going to see what is this national water policy, why it is required, the impact of what is the impact of the past policies, how it is to be formulated, and how it is to be implemented. And what if not implemented in letter and spirit? What are the provisions which are given in this national water policy that we are going to see? See these images. To avoid the scarcity of the water in drought regions, see this in this village, the people taking the water from this water reception tank with the help of pipes. See this how there is a scarcity of the water in some regions. In some regions, it is available in plenty. more water is available in some regions. That we have seen in the last lecture how the water which is available in abundant form, water is in some region it is available in a less water is available. There is scarcity of the water. See this, another image which shows there is scarcity of water, drought. Due to scarcity of water, there is the crops which are taken, they are they will not be grown. The water is required for growing of the crops. If water is not supplied, then the growth of the crops will not occur. So therefore, water is the essential resource which is needed for every human being for his survival of the human being, for maintaining the ecology, livelihood. And also, it is a vital resource for economic development of the country. This resource very crucial for the food security, energy security, and national security. Therefore, this water that should be effectively used, and it should be distributed wherever there is a scarcity of water. It should be the water requirement should be fulfilled. The global water scenario. The global water scenario can all over the world. In what percentage, in what quantity the water is available. So all over the world, total 14,000 million cubic meter, the water is available. 70% water is there. Out of that, ocean water is having 97.3%. Ocean water, the water which is salty, which contains which is impure, but which is not used for the drinking purpose. It contains some alkalis, acids, etc. So ocean water is having more percentage, which is about 97.3%. Out of that, fresh water is 2.7% only. 2.7% is available, fresh water. ओशन वॉटर समुद्राचं पाणी किती आहे 97.3%. फ्रेश वॉटर किती पर्सेंट आहे 2.7%. यामध्ये वॉटर रिसोर्सेस ही डायग्राम मध्ये दिले पहा ग्राफ मध्ये percent wise distribution all over the world. The groundwater is having 10%. That is shown by red color here. Groundwater, which is having 10%. Groundwater, which is available less than 8 meter deep. Groundwater which is available at a depth 800 meter below the ground surface. Groundwater within 800 to 4,000 meter deep, which is having 13% storage. That is shown by this color, pink color. Then polar ice, glacier, the water which is available in the in the form of ice, polar ice, glaciers, which is having 75%. That is shown by blue color. And 2% other sources. The other sources it is available in the surface sources, which is shown by yellow color. Other sources 2%. This is the distribution. In this form, this water is available in various sources: groundwater source, polar ice and glaciers, and other sources which is available on the surface of the ground, or which is stored water. Okay. So this is the global water scenario. Then in India, in our country, what is the percentage of this water distribution, water resources? So from the world's land area, 2.4% the water is available. World's land area, जी काय land area पूर्ण जगाचं त्यापैकी 2.4% आहे. आणि वर्ल्ड्स फ्रेश वॉटर रिसोर्सेस जेवढे आहेत पूर्ण जगात त्यापैकी 4% हे भारतामध्ये फ्रेश वॉटर, and 18% of the world's population. Total out of world's population, 18% is of our India. Then spatial and temporal variation of rainfall in India. Variation of the rainfall in our country that is shown in this map. The precipitation during June to September is given. That is shown by this blue color. The precipitation, variation of the rainfall. That is shown in mm, about 250. This blue color indicates the precipitation is above 250. See this towards Mumbai, Raigad, towards western region. The rainfall, intensity of rainfall is above 250. Some parts of the Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and here near to the Assam, Nagaland, it is shown here. It's shown by blue color. Then below that, these various colors in some parts of the Maharashtra state, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat is shown by this blue faint color, 75 to 100, 100 to 150, 150 to 250. In this way, this various colors that shows the intensity of rainfall distribution. Below 15 is shown here, 15 to 20 in a white color, where there is the ice towards the north side. In Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, where the water is available in the ice form, polar ice in glacier form, is shown by white color. The rainfall that is shown in this table, average is 1170 mm, maximum rainfall is 11,000, that is in the Meghalaya. Minimum intensity of rainfall is about 100 mm in western Rajasthan, where there is a scarcity of water, less rainfall occur. In temporal variation of the rainfall, that is shown by this graph. Rainfall in mm, that is shown in y-axis. On x-axis, the different seasons are given: winter, monsoon, January, February. The intensity of rainfall is given. It is shown. It is in between 0 to 100. In pre-monsoon, in between March to May month, this month rainfall is in between 100 to 200. In monsoon season, June to September, in this month the rainfall is maximum. It is about 800 to 900 mm. In monsoon season, there will be heavy rainfall. This graph shows in June and September. This is a monsoon season. The highest rainfall will be in June and September. In between that, June to September, the highest rainfall will be 800 to 900. In post monsoon, means in the month October to December, the rainfall is here decreased. It is in between 100 to 200. So this is the variation of the rainfall, intensity of the rainfall in these three seasons. That is shown by this graph. समजला variation of the rainfall? Any difficulty? Please ask. समजलं नसेल तर विचारा. Then water availability. Water availability. Total precipitation that occurred 4,000 billion cubic meter. Out of that, total water availability is 1,869 billion cubic meter. This much of water is available. The total precipitation that occur after rainfall is 4,000 billion cubic meter. Out of that, some water may infiltrate into the ground, or it may convey to the river, oceans, and some water that may be stored in the reservoir, in the lakes, in the ponds. Total water availability is 1,869 billion cubic meter. तर त्यापैकी टोटल युटिलायझेबल वॉटर किती आहे? Total utilizable water resources are having quantity 1,123 billion cubic meter. Out of that available water, the utilizable water is 1,123 billion cubic meter. तर त्यापैकी दोन्ही परत इथे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट केलेलं आहे. This utilizable water from its surface water किती आहे? 690 billion cubic meter, आणि ground water is having 433 billion cubic meter. हे दोन्ही मध्ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन केलेलं आहे. Surface water, current utilization of the surface water is, out of this 690 billion cubic meter, 490 billion cubic meter is utilized, म्हणजे 65.21%. It is utilizable water from surface water, and from groundwater, the utilization of the groundwater is about 56%. म्हणजे किती 243 बिलियन क्युबिक मीटर एवढे पाणी हे वापरलं जातं फ्रॉम द ग्राउंड वॉटर. आउट ऑफ दिस तर दोन्ही जर आपण जिथं ऍड केलंय युटिलायझेबल वॉटर, so it is about 693 this much of 693 billion cubic meter, which is utilizable water. So this utilizable water, it meets the demand, but it is inadequate for future demand. एवढं जे पाणी आहे ते पुरेसं आहे, पण भविष्यामध्ये ते एवढं पाणी ते पुरणार नाही. So this much quantity is very less to fulfill the future requirement, future need. दोन्हीचं ऍडिशन किती होतंय 693. So this much of water which is utilized for various purposes. So it meets the demand, but it is inadequate, insufficient for future requirement, future use. This map shows the Indian river basins. म्हणजे वेगवेगळ्या भागात वेगवेगळ्या रिजन मध्ये नदीचा प्रवाह हे इथे दाखवलेलं आहे या मॅप मध्ये. See this in northern region in Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, the Ganga river is there. Ganga river is there, Ganga river basin. Here Indus river towards Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, and some parts of the Rajasthan. त्यानंतर इथे towards Assam, Brahmaputra. And towards West Bengal, Mahanadi is there, Narmada, Tapi, Mai, Godavari in Maharashtra state, Krishna river is there, Godavari, Krishna, then Kaveri in parts of in the Tamil Nadu state. So this is the map which shows the Indian river basins. Then this graph shows the per capita availability, water availability in cubic meter per capita per year in various years. Per capita water availability is shown in cubic meter. In 1951, the water availability in cubic meter, it was higher, about more than 5,000 cubic meter. Again, in the 1991, it decreased. It is about more than 2,000 in between 2002 3,000. And again in 2001, it is in between 1,000 to 2,000. So in the present situation, it may be decreased in 2000 up to 2021, maybe about 1,000 to 2,000. The future water requirement 2025 to up to 2050 it is shown. It's a water stress line, water scarcity line. It is shown by red color. Water scarcity line could when there is a 1000 cubic meter per capita is water is available. That is said to be scarcity line. इथपर्यंत जर पाण्याची लेवल असेल, it is said to be very low level of water availability. म्हणजे 2050 मध्ये तेव्हा 1000 च्या 1000 पण गेलेले. Up to 2050 the water availability may be decrease. सध्याच्या सिच्युएशनला किती आहे? या scarcity line च्या वर आहे, water scarcity line 1000 2021. In between this 2001 to 2025. 2025 पर्यंत या scarcity line च्या वर आहे. Up to 2050 it will be decreased. This water availability may be decreased, maybe less than 1000. Okay. Basin wise water resources potential म्हणजे रिव्हर बेसिन जेवढे काही नदी आहेत त्यामध्ये वॉटर रिसोर्सेस पोटेन्शियल काय आहे? बेसिन वाइज और रिव्हर वाइज द वॉटर रिसोर्सेस पोटेन्शियल या ग्राफ मध्ये दाखवलंय. It is shown in this billion cubic meter. It is here, which is shown in various colors, starting from Ganga river, which is water resource potential is having 525 billion cubic meter. Krishna having 78.1 billion cubic meter. Brahmaputra and Barak having 585.6 billion cubic meter. Kaveri having 21.4, Indus having 73.3, other rivers 79.4, Narmada having 45.6, Godavari having 110.5, west flowing rivers having 216 billion cubic meter, east flowing rivers having 39 billion cubic meter, Mahanadi having water resources potential 66.9 billion cubic meter. Then Brahmani, Baitarani having 28.5 billion cubic meter. This is the water resource potential of the various river basins. The total, the quantity addition of this, all this will get 1869.3 billion cubic meter. This is the water resource potential of this various river basins. Similar difficulty, please ask. Then basin wise utilization, basin wise utilizable surface water potential. Surface water potential किती आहे? Surface water potential utilizable. In that, starting from Ganga river, which is having 250 billion cubic meter, is utilizable surface water potential. Then Indus river having 46 billion cubic meter, other rivers 33.3 33.2 BCM, west flowing river 51.2 BCM, first towards east flowing rivers having 29.8, Narmada river having 34.6, Mahanadi having 50, Brahmani Baitarani rivers having 19, 18.3, Kaveri having 19, Krishna having 58 BCM, Godavari having 76.3, Brahmaputra and Barak having 24. The addition of all this will be 690.3. This much of utilizable surface water potential. Then basin wise per capita availability, river basin wise, the per capita availability किती आहे? That is shown in this blue color in 2001. It shows the year. This purple color that indicates year 2025, and this white color that indicates the year 2050. The per capita water availability, which is shown in cubic meter, starting from Indus, the per capita water availability is in below 2000. Is in Ganga river, it is shown here. Indus, Brahmaputra and Barak. The water per capita water availability is higher for this river in Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Varnreka, Brahmani and Betarni, Mahanadi, Pennar, Mahi, Sabarmati, Narmada, Tapi, west flowing river and east flowing rivers. The scarcity line is shown here. So this is the highest per capita availability for Brahmaputra and Barak river. The water stress line shown by red color. So it is very less for this year. It is shown here for Sabarmati, east flowing rivers, inner rivers, Kaveri. So these rivers which are less than water scarcity line, per capita water availability is less. So India's water requirement in BCM is shown in this table for the year 2000, 2025 up to 2050. Water requirement in BCM in the year 2000, the domestic water requirement is about 42. Then irrigation water is 541, industrial water 8, energy having 2, other uses 41. Total it is 634 billion cubic meter. This is a water requirement in the year 2000. So up to 2025, what is the requirement? It is more than this 634 billion cubic meter, which is having 1093 billion cubic meter. This water requirement is increasing. Again, in the up to 2050, it will be more. It is about 1447 billion cubic meter. The domestic water is also increasing here. Domestic water requirement, irrigation water requirement is increased. Industrial water requirement is increased. In energy sector, the water requirement is increased. Other uses, the water requirement is increased. This is the current water requirement and future water requirement that is shown in this table. So this water requirement is increasing year by year, decade to decade. This water requirement is increasing. Okay. The projected water demand is shown in this graph. Percentage of total water requirement. Percent of total water requirement किती आहे? From the year 2002 up to 2050. Projected water demand. यात आपण पाहिले water requirement is shown in this graph. Percentage of total water requirement that is shown by these various colors. This blue color, gray color that indicates irrigation water requirement, purple color that indicates domestic water requirement, this faint yellow color that indicates industrial water requirement, and this blue color that indicates energy sector, and purple color that indicates others. So in 2000, it was projected water requirement. So it was projected water demand. It was about 85.3% for irrigation. For domestic, it is having 6.6. For industries, it is having 1.3. For energy sector, it is having 0.3, and others having 6.5 billion cubic meter. This water, from this graph, you can understand the water demand for various years. Total water requirement is for the it was for the year 2000, it was 634 billion cubic meter. In 2010, it was 813 billion cubic meter. In up to future water requirement up to 2025, the requirement, the water demand will be 1093 billion cubic meter, and up to 2050, the water demand will be increased up to 1447 billion cubic meter. This is the projected water demand for various years. Then per capita storage that is shown in this graph. Per capita storage in cubic meter for various countries, it is shown in this graph. Per capita storage is higher for Russia, having 5,686 cubic meter. Below that, second number is of Brazil, having 2,632 cubic meter. Below that, USA, United States, having 2,192 cubic meter. China is having 416 cubic meter. South Africa having 609 cubic meter, and India is having 209 cubic meter per capita storage. फूड सिनेरियो काय फूड ग्रेन प्रोडक्शन किती आहे at independence. After independence, it was 22 metric ton, the food grains which were produced, this much of food grain production after independence. And in the year 1950 to 51, it is having 51 metric ton. In present case, it is having population 1.13 billion population. The food requirement is 200 to 220 metric ton. The product out of that, food production is for the year 2011 to 12, it is having 250 metric ton. And for the year 2013 to 14, it is having 264.38 metric ton food production that has done. The future water requirement, future food grain production for the population. Suppose the population is about 1.64 billion up to 2050. तर त्यावेळेस food requirement किती असणार आहे? Up to 450 metric ton. This much of food requirement will be there. So this is the food scenario of our country. How this therefore food production is increasing day by day. This requirement is increasing every year, every decade. This food requirement is increasing. So evaluation of the water policy. So this is an overview of the per capita availability, the water demand, the water requirement, as per the food requirement, water requirement in various years. This national water policy, this was enacted. So after 36 meeting which was held in the year 1982, in the month of March, 14 March 1982, by National Development Council. In that National Development Council meeting, which was held in the year 1982, in the month 14th March, in that council they have decided to form this national water policy. त्यामध्ये त्यांनी डिसाइड केलेलं आहे to form this national water policy. So it was observed that the climate should be created in which national water plans are prepared, keeping in view the national perspective as well as state and regional needs. From the national perspective, economic development, by considering the state and regional needs of water requirement, this national water plans have to be made. त्यांनी ते त्या काउन्सिलच्या मीटिंग मध्ये त्यांनी डिसाइड केलं होतं इन द इयर 1982. तर त्यानंतर by the government of India a resolution is passed. The resolution dated in the year 1983, 10th March 1983. The government of India formed this national water policy. The resolution which is formed for setting up of National Water Resources Council. This National Water Resources Council that is formed in the year 10th March 1983. त्या councilचं नाव काय? NWRC. Shortly it is called NWRC, National Water Resources Council. So by this National Water Resources Council, in that the chairman is Prime Minister, chairman of this council, Prime Minister. Below that, vice chairman will be Union Minister of Water Resources. The members which includes union ministers dealing with water, Minister of State for Water Resources, then chief ministers of all states, then governors and administrators of uh, all the states. Then Secretary of Water Resources. This includes in this National Water Resources Council. It includes chairman, vice chairman, members, secretary. These are the various persons that are included in this National Water Resources Council, NWRC. So again in 1985, in the year 1985, first meeting of National Water Resources Council that is arranged. In that, they have decided that they have considered emphasis is given on for making the national water policy towards the national water policy issues for consideration. Issues are taken, different issues are considered in the year 1985 in the first meeting of the council. And the 1985-87 working group of union ministers and chief minister prepared national water policy document. पुढे 1985 आणि 87 मध्ये एक document बनवले national water policy document that was prepared by union minister, union ministers and chief ministers, union ministers. They have prepared this national water policy document in the year 1985-87. Then this national water policy document that was adopted first time in the year 1987. 1987 मध्ये त्यांनी adopt केलेला आहे. After 1987, after adoption of this policy, it is revised and updated in the year 2002. 2002 मध्ये त्यांनी update केलेला आहे. In April 2002, this policy was revised and updated. समजलं नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी कसं फॉर्म झालेलं आहे. पहिल्यांदा त्यांनी काउन्सिल बनवलं होतं, नॅशनल डेव्हलपमेंट काउन्सिल in the year 1982. The council which is formed, the meeting was held in the year 1982. In that they have decided to create the national water plans for the keeping for economic development, for keeping in view the national perspective and state and regional needs, considering the state and regional needs. This council has decided to form the national water plans. Again in the year 1983, the government of India formed this National Water Resources Council, NWRC, which includes Prime Minister, Union Minister, Chief Ministers, Governors, Administrators, Secretaries. And they have taken the meeting, first meeting of this council in the year 1985. For in that they have considered various issues related to the water requirement, and they have formed the national water policy. And in the year in between the year in this in between that 1985 to 87, they have formed the national water policy document by chief ministers and union ministers. They have formed this national water policy document. And this policy, national water policy, that was first adopted in the year 1987. 1987 मध्ये त्यांनी initiate केलेलं आहे. In the year 1987 again, it is revised in the year 2002. Revised and updated in April 2002. Revised 2002 मध्ये त्यांनी update केलेलं आहे, revise केलेलं आहे. With the increasing demand of the water, climate variability, depleting of the groundwater, deteriorating water quality. Again, this national water policy, again it is modified, it is updated. Again in the year 2012, draft national water policy which was enacted with the parliamentarians in the year 28/7/2010. The draft national water policy which was made. Then after that, with the academia's experts and professionals also involved, that was in the up to 26/10/2010. These experts and professionals also involved in this. And in the year 2011 to 12, 2011, non-governmental organizations also involved, corporate sectors, representatives of the Panchayati Raj institutions. So draft national water policy which was enacted in the year 2012. So in that up to 2011, southern states of Hyderabad, northern eastern states at Shillong. In the 2011, northern states at Jaipur, western states at Pune. In that 2011, in the year 2011, at various locations, this meeting committee is formed and meeting is held by this various committees, council. The drafting committee of this national water policy, for drafting of the national water policy, the committee is formed. त्यामध्ये कोण कोण आहे, कोण कोण होतो त्यामध्ये? ड्राफ्टिंग कमिटी मध्ये Dr. S.R. Ashim, former chairman UPSC and former member Planning Commission. Second, Dr. Subhash Chandar, former professor of IIT Delhi, who is involved in this drafting committee of the national water policy. Then Sri A.D. Mohile, former chairman of the CWC, SC Jain, and NGO. These are the various professionals who are involved in the drafting of the national water policy. This committee was formed. The supporting team of the officers, they are also involved. त्यामध्ये G. Mohan Kumar, Special Secretary, Mihak, member of WPNP, SC Dhiman, Chairman, KD Sharma, Avinash Mishra, MK Sinha, Joint Advisor and Senior Joint Commissioners also involved in this drafting of the national water policy. समझला है नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी कसे फॉर्म झालेले आहे, how this committee is formed. Then national water policy in 2012, the various provisions are given in that. In preamble of this national water policy, these are the points which are considered. त्यामध्ये water stress, water security किती आहे, water stress line, water security, effect of the climate, increased frequency of the extreme events, climate change, the effect काय, inadequate access to safe water for drinking, whether the access is available, there is any inadequate access is there for safe water, to safe water for drinking, inadequate sanitation, polluting water resources that are considered, over exploitation of the groundwater, how it is occur, inadequate maintenance of the water resources infrastructure, then lack of interdisciplinary and holistic approach, increasing interstate, intrastate and intersectoral disputes for avoiding any water disputes, that is also considered, encroachment and diversion of the water bodies and drainage channels that are studied, low consciousness leading to wasteful and efficient use of the water, that points are also identified. So these are the various points that are identified in this water policy. These are having 17 in number. 17. So in the forming this water policy, basic principles that is evolved in making this, the making of this national water policy. These are having 10 in numbers, 10 principles that are formed, that are identified. What are the principles? Integrated perspective considering local, regional, state and national context. The water requirement at various regions that are also that are considered. Its requirement, water demand in various regions that are studied. Equity and social justice must inform use and allocation of the water. For allocation of water, there should be equity and social justice for the use and allocation of the water. This is one of the principle that is considered. Meaningful, intensive participation, transparency and accountability should guide decision making and regulation of the water. Transparency should be there. Water as a common pool, community resources held by state under public trust doctrine. So in this, these are the various principles for maintaining the water quality, quantity. More emphasis is given on water management, demand management through maximum efficiency in use of water and avoiding the wastage of water, so that every human being all over the country, the effective distribution of the water and good quality of water that should be made available. Quality of water should be maintained, should be available in desired quantity. So there are the various principles that are considered in this national water policy. The uses of water. This graph shows the discharge and time of year. It's shown fall of the discharge in winter season, summer season, and spring season. The discharge is shown in this graph. The uses of water. So every state center and the states and local bodies of various regions, they must ensure the access to minimum quantity of potable water for essential health and hygiene. All its citizens. So minimum quantity of potable water should be available to every person, every citizen in the country, in the state, in the cities, in the villages, local bodies. So there should be proper use of the water. It should be reached to every person at every location. Should be made available within easy reach. It should be accessible and it should be made available to all the persons. The adaptation to climate change. So there is need to adapt the climate change scenario in the planning and implementation of water resources projects. There is the effect of the climate change on the water resources. So in the summer season, as we have seen, in winter season, there may be the less water is available. In summer season, there may be chances of drought. So in the rainy season, there may be more water is available. There is an effect of the climate change. Therefore, this climate change effect that is also affect to the water requirement. For this, you have to make some arrangement. We have to increase the water storages whenever there is a shortage of water. So that water should be stored. Some provision is to be made to fulfill the water requirement. For enhancing water available, so for that, to fulfill the water requirement, In that, the different types of dams are constructed for storage of the dams, storage of the water. The dams are constructed. And that include various types of dams for effective use of the water, for distribution, supply of the water to the crops, for the towns and cities. The water is supplied for drinking purpose, for generation of the electricity. The dams are constructed. Different water bodies are that is formed. Check dams, large dams like gravity dam, concrete dam, arch dam, buttress dam. So demand management and water use efficiency. The system to evolve benchmarks for water uses for different purposes. The water auditing should be developed to ensure the efficient use of the water. Water auditing should be done for effective use of the water. For this, there is a three R's are used: reuse, reduce, recycle. For effective management, water management and water use efficiency, this system should be formed. तुम्हाला इथपर्यंत any difficulty? तुम्हाला नसेल तर विचारा. Any difficulty? Please ask. तुम्हाला नसेल तर विचारा. Okay. Just a minute. We'll start again. Okay, whereat enhancement should be given for the use of water to avoid the wastages. Okay. Demand management and water use efficiency. Water should be used properly in a so that it will be available. Plenty of water will be available for the use of water for growing of the crops in different season. Different methods that should be adopted, like aligning cropping pattern with natural resource endowments, macro irrigation method should be adopted, like drip irrigation method, ठिबक सिंचन, तुषार सिंचन. So for effective water management and efficient to improve the efficiency use of the water use efficiency, some methods should be adopted, like macro irrigation methods like drip irrigation technique, sprinkler irrigation method. या इमेज में दाखवलं पाहिजे drip irrigation method, sprinkler irrigation method, automated irrigation operation, evaporation transmission reduction should be encouraged and incentivized. त्या इमेज में दाखवलं पहा sprinkler irrigation method, drip irrigation method. Then water pricing. Water pricing, for water pricing, the provisions are made, provisions of setting up the water regulatory authority, water regulatory authority, and for pricing of this water, that should be adequate water pricing should be done on the volumetric basis for the efficient use of the water and reward conservation. This water pricing should be done. The water pricing that should be based on the use of the water over and above preemptive uses. The water should be increasingly that should increasingly be subjected to allocation and pricing on economic principles. That should be based on economic principles. It depends upon the use of the water. This pricing that should be done. And conservation should be made. Conservation of the river corridors, water bodies, and infrastructure. Conservation means the sources of water from where water is available. जिथून आपल्याला पाणी आपल्याला मिळणार आहे, जे सोर्सेस आहेत, दॅट सोर्सेस तिथे पोल्युशन होऊ नये म्हणून त्यासाठी तिथे पाणी काय करायला पाहिजे, प्रिझर्व करायला पाहिजे. इट शुड नॉट बी पोल्युटेड विथ द केमिकल्स or any other materials, waste materials like plastics or any impurities should not be uh, that should not be allowed to get polluted. Therefore, these resources that should be preserved carefully so that that water may be used for the drinking purpose, for supplying water to the crops. Then these are the various policies are made in this national water policy. These are the policies regarding conservation of the water bodies, river corridors and infrastructure, project planning and implementation, integrated water resources management should be followed for planning and management of water resources projects. So there should not be any economic loss due to delay in implementation of the projects, or so these projects should be implemented properly with proper planning. So these projects, water resources projects, should be planned in a such a that it should be feasible as multi-purpose projects, and more storage of water will be available, and it should give maximum benefit for the society. Then there should be effective management of the floods in case of floods, droughts. To avoid the floods in rainy season, there will be the heavy rainfall. In drought season, there will be the scarcity of water, less rainfall. Some provision should be made in case of floods and droughts. So in that case, dams or any embankments, dam structures should be built across the rivers. The storage of the water that should be observed in the dams, reservoirs. So to avoid the scarcity of water, effective management should be done. So whenever there is a flood situation is there, drought situation is there, that extra water, available water, that should be supplied in a drought season to avoid the scarcity of water. Then water supply and sanitation schemes, there should be effective distribution of the water for the rural and urban people. It should be effectively distributed. Urban water supply and sewage treatment schemes should be integrated, and that should be executed for the supply of the water and for sewage treatment. For water supply, the water is supplied from the water treatment plants that should be built, and sewage treatment plants that should be built, so that there should be effective use of the water, and it is effective use of the water, and there should be proper system water supply system should be developed and sanitation system should be developed. Institutional arrangement, so institutional arrangements that should be made at the national level so as to deliberate or to solve the issues related to water that should be resolved in case of dispute, water disputes. These institutional arrangements should be made. In research, transboundary rivers database information system, although hydrological data is to be collected, information system should be formed. Transboundary rivers, there should be some effort should be made to enter into international agreements with neighboring countries for the exchange of the hydrological data for the effective distribution of the water management. Some negotiations have to be made for the sharing and management of the water of the international rivers. That should be done on bilateral basis. The rivers which flows from one country to other countries, there should be international agreement should be made with the neighboring countries which are the agreement should be made so that or negotiation should be made for sharing and management of the water of the international rivers. Like I mentioned, transboundary rivers. Then research and training needs some for research. A center for research in water policy should be that should be established for making the policy, to evolve the policy directives for changing the scenario of the water resources. For this, research center should be established for making this water policy, and some training programs that should be arranged for effective use of the water. And 16th is the implementation of the national water policy. So, how to implement this national water policy? For implementing this national water policy, the National Water Board should prepare a plan of action based on the national water policy. National Water Board J, National Water Board of India, who prepares the plan of action based national water policy for monitoring, to regularly monitoring its implementation implementation of this water policy, national water policy. For that, state water policy that are need to be drafted and revised. Easily, national water policy, implementation of national water policy. For implementing this national water policy, national water boards prepares a plan. He monitors the how this policy is implemented. They called by the National Water Board. Similarly, this policy that is drafted for states, different states, प्रत्येक स्टेटचं वेगवेगळे वॉटर पॉलिसी असते. आता आपण पाहिलेलं आहे नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी. आता आपण काय पाहणार आहे स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी, वॉटर पॉलिसी ऑफ द महाराष्ट्र स्टेट. आपण हे आतापर्यंत हे सगळे पॉइंट्स आपण कसे पाहिले नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी, वॉटर पॉलिसी ऑफ इंडिया. These are the various points related to national water policy. So this national water policy and water policy of the Maharashtra state, this will ask for the exam. Exam la he vicharu shaktat. Explain the national water policy and state water policy, Maharashtra state water policy. You have to write this all the points, what are the provisions that are made. त्यानंतर आपण पाहणार आहे स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी, महाराष्ट्र स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी. त्यामध्ये काय प्रोविजन्स दिलेले आहेत समजलं इथपर्यंत. नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी, दिस इज अ सिनेरियो ऑफ वॉटर रिसोर्सेस ऑफ इंडिया. The various points that we have studied, national water policy. After national water policy, we are going to see the Maharashtra state water policy. त्यामध्ये काय प्रोविजन दिलेले आहे. this Maharashtra state water policy that was enacted in the year 2019. आपण काय पडतोय स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी, वॉटर पॉलिसी ऑफ द महाराष्ट्र स्टेट. यामध्ये सुद्धा जसं आपण नॅशनल वॉटर पॉलिसी मध्ये प्रिएम्बल पाहिले, प्रस्तावना, त्यामध्ये काय दिलेलं आहे इन दिस प्रिएम्बल प्रस्तावनामध्ये काय दिलेलं आहे that they have studied the per capita water availability is decreasing day by day. Every year this per capita water availability is decreasing. पाण्याचे जे प्रमाण किती पाणी अवेलेबल आहे त्यामध्ये ते चेंजेस होत जात आहेत. The availability of the water is decreasing day by day, from month to month. Every year this per capita water availability is decreasing due to increase in the population. जसं पॉप्युलेशन वाढत चाललं तसं हे पाण्याची अवेलेबिलिटी जी आहे ते कमी कमी होत चाललंय. So with the rising food demand, rapid industrialization, urbanization, the stress on the water management is increased. There is a scarcity of water due to increase in population, food demand. त्यामुळे काय वाढलेलं आहे फूड डिमांड वाढलेलं आहे, इंडस्ट्रीज वाढलेले आहेत, इंडस्ट्रियलायझेशन झालेलं आहे, अर्बनायझेशन दॅट ऑकर. त्यामुळे काय झालंय due to urbanization, industrialization, due to increase in the food demand, there is water management, stress on the water management is increase. तर त्यासाठी त्यांनी काय केलेलं आहे, policy is made, state water policy is made by government of Maharashtra for effective water management. This policy was made by government of Maharashtra and government of India for effective use of water, for effective water management, and for effective distribution of the water. This policy was made. So this distribution of water resources is uneven. हे कसं आहे, uneven. Distribution of water is uneven. In some parts of the state it is available, water is available more. In some parts of the state there is a scarcity of water. काल आपण मॅप मध्ये पाहिलंय कुठे कुठे पाणी जास्त प्रमाणात अवेलेबल आहे आणि कुठे कमी अवेलेबल आहे आणि कुठे मीडियम अवेलेबल आहे. So it is unevenly distributed. So there may be the effect of the climate change also. Winter season मध्ये हिवाळ्यात पाणी कमी असते, पावसाळ्यात पाणी जास्त प्रमाणात अवेलेबल असते. In summer season there is a less water is available. खूप कमी प्रमाणात पाणी अवेलेबल असते. So there season to season the water availability may get changes. So for this, the government of Maharashtra have formed this water policy in the year 2003. 2003 मध्ये पहिल्यांदा त्यांनी ही water policy बनवलेलं होतं. So this water is the important resource which is a being state subject. This is one of the important resource. त्यासाठी त्यांनी काय फॉर्म केलेलं आहे, a special department that is formed. त्याला काय म्हणायचं, water resources department, WRD of the water resource department of the Maharashtra state that was formed. त्यासाठी water policy त्यांनी फ्रेम केलेली आहे. This water policy that was framed in the year 2003. After it is revised in the year May 2011 मध्ये त्यांनी रिवाइज केले ते water policy. So after adoption of this policy, significant positive changes have been made in the water scenario of the state. त्यामुळे जी water scenario आहे state ची, जे आता आपण national scenario आपण पाहिले, water scenario of the national of India, water scenario of the India that you have seen. By this adoption of this water policy, some positive changes have been made in the effective use of the water, effective distribution of the water, and effective management of the water. Some changes have been occurred by this implementation of the water policy or adoption of this water policy. त्यामुळे काही चेंजेस झालेले आहेत. And some of the issues and challenges have been faced in the state water sector. Some policies are reformed, some changes are made in the policies to avoid any issues. The scope of the policy, Government of India has also revised the policy after revision in the year 2011. This water policy again it is revised in the year 2012. So according to the national water policy in 2012, जे आता आपण पाहिलंय national water policy in 2012. According to that, the state water policy had changed by considering the basic concerns, principles, and other provisions which are made in the national water policy. The state water policy have been revised. त्यामुळे स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी सुद्धा त्यांनी रिवाइज केलेली आहे. So state government of Maharashtra also revised its water policies in accordance with the national water policy. So this is the scenario, first preamble of this water policy, state water policy. त्यामध्ये स्कोप काय दिलेले, स्कोप ऑफ दिस पॉलिसी, scope of this policy has given. May policy कशासाठी applicable आहे? This policy applies to all the line departments, semi-government agencies, and semi-government agency of the state government related to water, local bodies, bulk water users, domestic, industrial, commercial, and others, and citizens of the state. कोणासाठी applicable आहे? जे महाराष्ट्र स्टेट मध्ये राहणे जेवढे काही नागरिक आहेत, सिटीजन्स आहेत, त्यांना ते applicable आहे. And all the industries, commercials, for all the domestic, industrial, and commercial users, this policy is applicable. For the local bodies, for the all the government agencies of the state government, all the departments, semi-government, and all the departments, all the government agencies, this policy is applicable. That what is the overview of the state? जे आपण काल पाहिले overview of the state water resources available in the Maharashtra state. Maharashtra occupies the western and central parts of India, and has a long coastal line of about 760 720 kilometers along the Arabian Sea towards Mumbai, Raigad, Thane. So this Maharashtra state occupies this region, these parts, western and central parts of India. With the population of 112.4 million, as per the population census of the year 2011, the population is 112.4 million. Geographical area किती आहे महाराष्ट्र स्टेटची? Geographical area is having 0.308 million square kilometer, which is ranked second rank by population. Population मध्ये second number है. Second rank is there, and third rank in terms of area. In terms of area, third rank of our Maharashtra state in case of geographical area. So out of this, Maharashtra is highly urbanized with 45.2% population who are residing in urban area. In urban area, the population is 45.2%. And climate of the state is having tropical monsoon climate, and it is semi-arid. And there is a extreme spatial and temporal variation in the rainfall pattern in the Maharashtra state. There is a temporal variation in the rainfall pattern. It is extreme spatial. And average annual rainfall in the states ranging from 400 to 6,000 mm. Average annual rainfall किती आहे Maharashtra state से 400 to 6,000 mm. This is the average annual rainfall. The drought किती प्रमाणात आहे? Drought regions having 42.5% area which is under drought. जे दुष्काळ जिथे दुष्काळ आहे ती एरिया किती आहे 42.5% area which is under drought. So gross cropped area is having 22.9 million hectare, and net sown area is 17.19 million hectare, which is the net sown area, and area which is sown more than once, that is having 5.929 million hectare. These are the values for the year 2015 to 16. At the present, it will be changed. Top of the state's population is depending upon the agriculture for their livelihood. Half of the population is dependent on agriculture. 50% population depending upon the agriculture. So this is the overview of the state. The population किती है, किती area, geographical area है, what is the climate, हे आता आपण पाहिलं आहे. Average annual rainfall किती है, drought area किती है. This is the overview of the state. Then water resources of the state ज्या काल आपण पाहिलं आहे. Water distribution, which are the river basins are there, हे आपण पाहिलेलं आहे. in the Maharashtra state, that includes Godavari River. It covers the 5 major river basins are there, like Godavari River, Krishna River, Tapi River, Narmada, west flowing river basins. The other 5 major river basins are there. The very small area of the northeastern part of the state comes under the Mahanadi Basin. The average annual availability of the water that is estimated to be 198 billion cubic meters. This much of water is average annual water is available. So this consists of 164 billion cubic meter of surface water and 34 billion cubic meter of groundwater. That is, this much of water is available in our state. The storage capacity treated through state water sector, which is having 42.85 billion cubic meter up to June 2017. This much of storage capacity is available. So the water which is available in the basins of west flowing river, that can be neither be used locally or nor can be transferred economically to other basins. So in remaining 4 river basins, having 89.4% of the cultivated area, has only 45% of the water resources. West flowing river सोडून ते बाकीचे जे rivers आहेत, west flowing rivers that cannot be that can neither be used locally or that cannot be transferred economically. The other 4 rivers having cultivable area 89.4%. So this rivers having 45% of the water resources. So therefore, our state is experiencing the water shortage. There is scarcity of water is there, shortage of water in some regions, and some regions are under drought. So there is a scarcity of water. This is the water resources of the state. The water resource development कसं झालंय in this water sector, how development is done. how reforms are made. So after the independence, after the formation of the state in the year 1960, some significant investments have been made in this water sector. त्यामध्ये काही इन्व्हेस्टमेंट केलेले आहे आफ्टर इंडिपेंडन्स and after the formation of the state in the year 1960. Some huge investments have been made in this water sector. त्यामध्ये first point increasing in the irrigation potential surface water from 2.74 lakh hectare to 68.37 lakh hectares. That is irrigation potential is increased. So from 2.74 lakh hectare to 68.37 lakh hectare, this much of irrigation potential is increased. The state sector is having 50.36 lakh hectare, local sector having 18.01 lakh hectare. This is up to June 2017. An actual utilization of the potential created through state sector projects in the year 2017 to 18, which is about 39.50 lakh hectare. Actual utilization potential किती है? 39.50 lakh hectare. So there is a effective management of the drinking water supply have been made for the towns and rural areas. Effective management of drinking water supply have been made. Then for accelerating the industrial growth, some provisions are made, and for increasing the hydropower capacity, some provisions are made from 290 megawatt to 3684 megawatt up to March 2019. The hydropower capacity is also increased. So this is some reforms are made in this water sector. Okay. इथपर्यंत आपण महाराष्ट्र स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी आपण पाहिलेलं आहे. Time is over. The remaining part we'll see in next lecture. इथपर्यंत समजलं का स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी, महाराष्ट्र स्टेट वॉटर पॉलिसी and national water policy. Is the difference between these two water policies. समजलं का? काही प्रॉब्लेम असेल तर विचारा. You can unmute yourself. You can ask, or you can ask in chat box. समजलं नसेल तर विचारा. Any difficulty? Please ask. We will stop here.